They're always going to be your friends, and I'm regretting that I didn't stop and see them towards the end.
Remembering a victim of the Anaconda shooting, plus an anticipated update on fireworks within Great Falls city limits.
There's a lot of cool things about Great Falls that you just get a better sense of when you can actually see all these trees and you can actually see these sites like Giant Springs bubbling up and all that.
And later, have you visited a Great Falls museum lately?
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for trusting MTN with your 10 o'clock news. I'm Tom Wiley in for Tim McGonigal. We're continuing to follow the aftermath of Friday's tragic shooting in Anaconda. And while the manhunt for the suspect stretches into a fourth day, we're learning more about the victims. One of the four people who lost their lives was Tony Palm, who left his mark on the small town. MTN's Megan Elaine spoke with a friend of his.
As the manhunt for 45-year-old Michael Brown continues into its fifth day, the people of Anaconda are continuing to remember and mourn the lives that were lost last Friday.
So I just hit town, but I wanted to find out about a funeral.
I met with Gary Satterley at the JFK bar, a place that's familiar to many in Anaconda. He'd driven from northern Idaho searching for answers and for a way to say goodbye to his old friend, Tony Wayne Palm. Tony was one of the four people killed in last week's shooting at the Owl Bar.
I don't know, he's a regular down there, so in the morning, so I figured, I was worried that he got shot. He was one of them.
When Gary heard the news, he had a feeling, one he hoped wasn't right. But tonight, he sits at the bar just down the street, grappling with loss. Along with Tony Palm, 64-year-old Nancy Loretta Kelly, 70-year-old David Allen Leach, and 59-year-old Daniel Edwin Bailey were also killed.
Tony was not the kind of a guy that people would have a grudge against.
Gary remembers growing up with Tony, adventures in the hills, driving trucks, and getting muddy.
We traveled and camped out in these hills all over, so we had a good time.
The years passed, their paths drifted apart. When Gary got sober, he stopped going to the places where he used to see Tony.
Our journeys separated right there, but, we're still good friends.
He says he'd always meant to stop in, to catch up, share stories, tell Tony about a herd of cows he's been raising.
And I was going to stop, but I was in a rush, thought I was. And I kind of regret now not stopping.
Now he's waiting in town for word on the funeral, for a chance to pay his respects, and for some kind of closure.
They're always going to be your friends, and I'm regretting that I didn't stop and see them.
In Anaconda, Megan Elaine, MTN News.
Earlier today, law enforcement officials in charge of the search for the alleged Anaconda shooter, Michael Brown, held a news conference at the Deer Lodge County Courthouse. MTN's John Riley has more on what we learned and the new resources being allocated.
On Tuesday, the manhunt for a suspect accused of killing four people at an Anaconda bar continued. For days, law enforcement have tirelessly scoured the densely wooded mountains outside of Anaconda in search for Michael Brown. On Tuesday at a press conference, we got a better idea about the status of that case, funding that has been allocated, and learned when the last time Brown was seen.
Without stating too much, I think the last concrete time we can say for sure he was seen was Friday. Now, there is certainly evidence in our search area that he's present and that we're hunting in the right haystack.
Knutson declined to say if they believe Brown still had the weapon allegedly used in the shooting at the Owl Bar, but they are treating the situation as if he is armed.
We absolutely have to assume that he's armed and extremely dangerous. This is clearly an unstable individual. He's had access to firearms, numerous firearms in his home, and he used a firearm to commit a really heinous series of crimes.
Tuesday morning, Governor Greg Gianforte signed an executive order approving the allocation of additional funding to search efforts and covering overtime costs by officers working the case. Officials say officers have been putting in 18 and 19-hour days in the search for Brown.
Since the tragic event, our Montana law enforcement officers have been unrelenting in their pursuit, working around the clock to bring this suspect, Michael Brown, to justice for his heinous acts.
Residents MTN spoke with have expressed frustration with a perceived lack of communication for updates about the manhunt. Morgan Smith, Anaconda Deer Lodge County attorney, directly addressed the residents of Anaconda. saying the county has heard their frustrations and they're doing everything in their power to bring this matter to a close.
I understand the pit in your stomach every time you've heard sirens in our community the last 5 days. I experienced the same. Any call that comes in of a potential sighting of Michael Paul Brown, or a suspicious person in an unexpected place, or a concern that you can't reach a loved one and you have concern that they have been harmed, every single one of those calls has been responded to. And every time those calls come in, they're treated as though they are going to be the call that results in the apprehension of Michael Paul Brown.
U.S. Marshals have also increased the reward to $10,000 for information leading to the capture of Brown. In Anaconda, John Riley, MTN News.
Overall, it was drier today than it was yesterday, but there were still some scattered showers and thunderstorms within north central and northeastern Montana during the day today. We did have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect briefly this evening for portions of Phillips County and Valley County. Right now, though, it is dry with mainly clear skies throughout all of north central Montana. We topped out in the mid to upper 70s and low 80s today, and these temperatures are about 5 to 10 degrees below average for this time of year. And it still feels very nice outside right now. Temperatures are in the 60s in most spots, currently 68 in Great Falls and Fort Benton, and 64 degrees in Havre and Chinook. Tomorrow, we are going to have very nice weather, increasing clouds throughout the day. It will be mainly dry, and it will be warmer than it was today. And then more scattered showers and thunderstorms are in the forecast as we head into Thursday and Fridays. An upper-level trough is going to be in control of our weather. Now, more details about that precipitation in my full forecast in a few minutes.
After weeks of discussion, comment, and debate, the Great Falls City Commission has voted to put the future of consumer fireworks in voters' hands. Commissioners passed a resolution referring a proposed fireworks ban to the November 2025 ballot. If approved, the ordinance would restrict the sale and use of consumer fireworks within city limits. Mayor Corey Reeves and Commissioners Susan Wolf, Shannon Wilson, and Rick Tryon voted for the resolution, while Commissioner Joe McKinney voted no.
A new storm drain project will cause some road blockage for Great Falls residents. Public Works Department says construction began yesterday. 5th Street South will be closed from 9th Avenue South to 10th Avenue South for several weeks. A storm in 2016 caused flooding near 10th Avenue South, prompting action for a new drainage system. Civil engineer Ryan Shanybrook says they communicate beforehand with the community in case problems arise.
We also send out letters to properties in the project area. If someone does have a concern, our city inspector will go out and investigate, and then we'll coordinate with the contractor to get it resolved.
The storm drain project will take about 3 months to be complete. From emergency response to everyday concerns, city leaders answered questions this afternoon at a public safety Q&A. On the panel were representatives from the Great Falls Police Department, Cascade County Sheriff's Office, Great Falls Fire Rescue, city planning officials, and a city commissioner. Together, they provided updates and fielded questions from business leaders and residents, covering topics from homelessness, jail capacity, hiring struggles, and public funding.
The questions we asked today were based on member questions about what's happening. So a variety of different issues going on. It was our longest knowledge drop. It's interesting things that I think people would be like, oh, wow, I didn't know that kind of stuff happened in our community. So
the Chamber of Commerce said it hopes to continue hosting forums like this in the future, giving residents more opportunities to connect with local leadership. From Western history to contemporary art, the museums in Great Falls offer a rich history. Whether you're local or just passing through, these stops showcase stories, creativity, and heritage important to the region. MTN's Quentin Shores visited to learn more about the broader history.
Yes, the line work. Now, to a tourist, Great Falls might seem like a type of town that doesn't have a lot going on, but a lot of our culture is preserved in our history and our art.
Many younger generations are turning to technology for their history, so I had to ask, is it better to learn in person or on a screen?
Well, it's really cool to be able to do both, to look at stuff online and then also experience it for yourself. It's really special to be able to see stuff in person.
Collections curator Ashley McCann walked me through the fascinating history of Great Falls and explained it in a personable way that AI searches could never replicate.
Great Falls was founded by Paris Gibson, and he was a business guy, and he saw a lot of potential with the river and with the natural waterfalls that were here. So it was his work, along with James J. Hill of the Railroad Company, who platted the town. They advertised to businessmen, and they wanted Great Falls to be this metropolis on the Missouri River.
But she's not the only history expert in Great Falls.
Well, the C.M. Russell Museum is primarily focused on our namesake artist, Charlie Russell. We think the world of Charlie around here, and we'd love to share his art and his incredible story with audiences.
The C.M. Russell Museum shows history through the lens of art and uses visual storytelling to captivate an audience.
It's really important to have a museum like the Russell Museum here in Great Falls. It's something that we can all be really proud of, that Charlie Russell, an internationally known artist, lived right here.
History may seem like ancient past, but these museums are always finding new ways to update and innovate.
We're here inside of the Visible Vault, inside the Owen and Gail Robinson Research Center at the History Museum. The Visible Vault is a really cool space that showcases what we do behind the scenes at the History Museum. A very small percentage of what we have is ever going to be on display, and the Visible Vault highlights all the work that we do in the background to make sure that history is preserved.
So ultimately, what makes history so important and necessary in today's society?
Well, history enriches our lives. It is so cool to be able to walk down the street, look at a building, and think to yourself, oh yeah, that was that Norwegian immigrant who came and set up a clothier shop, and this is that cool feature of the architecture that I learned about. So I encourage everybody to really take a look at the history of the town that they're visiting and the town that they live in. It really is enriching. And when you come to the History Museum, you can give us a call or an email ahead of time, and we would love to talk to you about whatever your interest is in history.
In Great Falls, I'm Quentin Shores, MTN News.
I'm Jane McDonald with Copper, and we are about to head out into the backcountry. That's right, you're going to be tagging along with us with the Gallatin Valley Backcountry Horsemen as they clear out a trail.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 10 o'clock news.
A nice story out of Gallatin County. There's a group that helps keep trails clear for others to enjoy. MTN's Jane McDonald saddled up and set out with the Gallatin Valley Backcountry Horsemen.
Most people don't realize that there's a volunteer group out there that's working every week to clear trails.
Every week, multiple times a week, the Gallatin Valley Backcountry Horsemen are out, well, in the backcountry, clearing trails so everyone else can enjoy the nature and beauty of Montana without having to summit logs and downed limbs.
We've come across a couple of trails. We did porcupine elkhorn, and there were some trees, good-sized trees, 24-inch or better, that were across a trail on a slope, and there's no way around them.
Loaded with chainsaws, helmets, and saws.
This is the gear we take.
It's all about preparation.
And we have to balance the load so that it doesn't slip off the horse one way or the other.
Of course, one of the biggest parts of that preparation is ensuring that their horses are ready to hit the trail.
This is the old standby pack horse. He's saved my bacon a lot. He's really good on the trail. We were packing loads in like that, and we had a spud bar that weighs about 30 or 40 pounds that fell out, and the whole thing shifted like this, and that was downhill, and he just stood there and let me get the thing back up, put the spud bar in, and we got out of there.
Well, the horsemen aren't the only ones out there helping take care of the backcountry. The next time that you're out enjoying the bountiful nature of Montana, you may have a Gallatin County backcountry horseman to thank.
We're the best kept secret in Gallatin Valley.
In Bozeman, with Copper, Jane McDonald, MTN News.